Our story begins when a 17-year-old girl goes to a party on a Saturday night. This was back in the 80s. She did all the right things. She called her parents to let them know she would be returning soon. But the night passed and the teen did not return. Shockingly, her body was recovered just 30 miles from home. For Cleveland, Ohio, this was an unbelievable crime because this was the safest place one could think of. The fear it caused would remain with the residents for years to come. Initially, detectives had theories of what could have happened to the missing girl. But years later, police would unmask the perpetrator. Just as her family was about to get closure, the man evaded the police in the most surprising way possible. In December of 1987, Barbara Blatnik was a typical 17-year-old girl from Garfield Heights, Ohio. She lived on Band Drive with her mother Teresa, her father John, and her 19-year-old sister Donna. Better known as Barbie, she had puffy, feathered 1980s-style blonde hair and was known to be a people person. Bright and cheery, always happy and bubbling. Barbie was beloved by all. Her father called her a free spirit who lived for heavy metal music, makeup, dancing, and babysitting. She always socialized with her extensive circle of friends. Barbie's sister Donna knew her younger sister as a girl who lived life to the fullest, partying and enjoying her life. Barbie enjoyed drinking, experimenting with illegal substances, smoking, and embracing the party lifestyle. As mentioned, she had a likeness for loud heavy metal music, with AC/DC being her favorite band. Barbie switched high schools in January. She transitioned from Garfield Heights High School to Erie View Catholic. She attended as a junior. According to Donna, her sister had an affinity for boys and was known to date various individuals without committing exclusively to anyone. She liked to be free. She was too young to be tied down. This free-natured spirit got her in trouble on a few occasions. There was one person she liked to see more often than others. Barbie had a boyfriend named Jerry. Their relationship was characterized by its on and off nature over the course of about a year. It was casual dating as teenagers do, nothing too serious or tied down. Furthermore, Barbie maintained a close-knit group of girlfriends. Despite being a handful at times, Barbie had no known enemies. In fact, she had a lot of friends. Everyone knew the blonde with the happiest smile. On December 19, 1987, a normal Saturday afternoon, Barbie went off with friends to attend a party. Dressed in jeans and a sweater and accessorized with jewelry, she carried her comb, money, and cigarettes in her back pocket. This was customary for her as she hardly ever kept a purse or a bag. She did not like handling things at a party. Parties were for fun. Newspaper reports from that time differ on the exact time of her leaving her home. Some cited 4 p.m. and others stated 6:30 p.m. It is unclear why there is a time difference, or whether it is relevant. Her elder sister Donna recalls saying, "Bye, have fun," as Barbie went off. A party could mean anything. It could range from a small group of 8 people in a living room to a larger event with 100 attendees, or even a few teenagers hanging out in a backyard or a park. Barbie was picked up from her home by her friends, Michelle Trodden and Sheila Salmon. Then, the girls visited a local bar. Here they could be served underage. It was common for Barbie and her friends to patronize such places where they were flexible about drinking rules and age limits. They never ID'd anyone. This might sound incredibly shady now, bars allowing minors in. But in the 80s and 90s, a lot of bars and pubs did not implement age restrictions to get more customers to walk in through the doors. Regulations and laws became a bit stricter in the early 2000s, but before that, a 16-year-old could easily order a drink at a bar. Then they made their way back to Garfield Heights to visit their friend Philip Null. This was between 7 and 8 p.m. There they drank and hung out some more. Then they went to a local bike shop on Warner Road named Motorcycle Specialties. It was within walking distance. They often hung out with a group of neighborhood boys there. The owner of the bike shop welcomed pretty girls and would provide alcohol and marijuana for their entertainment. He believed if there were girls, he was bound to get customers to hang around for longer or return. The teens often hung out in the basement of the bike shop. The shop owner, Jeff, had set it up for such parties. The party included Barbie, Michelle, Sheila, and Linda, among others. Barbie's ex-boyfriend, Dave, was also present at this party. At 10:30 p.m., Barbie made a call to her parents. The exact location from where she made the call remains unknown. She informed her family that she would be returning soon. This act was highly unusual for Barbie, as she typically did not check in. She was a bit of a rebel. She liked to be treated as a grown-up and hated curfews or restrictions. Normally, Barbie would spend time with friends and return home later, or she would spend the night at a friend's place. Sleepovers for Barbie were normal. Her family had accepted that sometimes she even liked to stay out all night. But she was a sensible girl. She took calculated risks. Her family also knew tying her down could backfire, as she did not want to be restricted. Given that this was 1987, there were no cell phones. So to make a call home, Barbie would have to use a landline. Her parents picked up her call. According to her friend Michelle, while they were at the shop, nothing appeared out of the ordinary. There were no individuals who seemed suspicious or threatening. Michelle stated that they remained at the shop until 3:15 a.m. After leaving, Michelle drove Barbie to the intersection of Warner Road and Grand Division Avenue, near the bike shop. This area is like a mix of residential and commercial buildings, including convenience stores and car repair shops. Barbie told Michelle that she was heading to Jerry's house. He lived with his older brother Bob and their parents behind the AC Delco auto parts store. After Michelle dropped Barbie off, they went their separate ways. What she did not know was that Jerry was not home. He was hanging out with his friends that night. It is unclear whether Barbie knocked on the door or just left when nobody answered. Some possibilities include Bob, Jerry's brother, or someone else answering the door. It is unclear if Barbie did try to contact Jerry. While walking the streets, Barbie's home would have been far, but she could take a shortcut through the woods and reach home sooner. Another option was for Barbie to walk to Gina's home. Her friend Gina lived with her boyfriend Rodney just 2 blocks away on Grand Division Avenue. Rodney was not keen on her going out with Barbie to Warner Road that night. Gina revealed that Barbie called her that Saturday. She invited her to hang out, but she declined. She later regretted this decision. She believed she could have protected Barbie. Gina mentioned that her boyfriend was one of 3 feared brothers in the area. She implied that Barbie might have been safer with them. Despite this, Barbie did not make it to Gina's house that night, although it was close to where she was dropped off. Despite the unusual call saying that she would be home soon, Barbie did not arrive home that night. Her parents went to bed without much of a thought. They assumed she was staying with a friend. They were not alarmed when her bed remained unslept. The family was already caught up in the upcoming Christmas festivities as well as Donna's wedding. Barbie was supposed to be the maid of honor. It was all very exciting. The following morning, Barbie's mother and sister went out for Christmas shopping. Donna bought Barbie a new blow dryer for her fluffy hair. They also bought things they might need for the wedding and lots of presents. But as soon as Barbie's mother pulled into the driveway, she felt something was wrong and said so to Donna. 2 police officers had arrived at their house just after they left for the shops. They summoned Barbie's father to the morgue in Cuyahoga Falls. He was confused as to why the officers were asking him to come with them. He had to ID someone. As he went on his way, they informed him of the impossible. His little girl had been found deceased. "Barbie is gone." These were her mother's words when she had pulled into the driveway. It was pure intuition. Her family was distraught. This was shocking and highly unexpected. Barbie's body was found nude and bruised in the woods off O'Neill Road. This is near the Blossom Music Center in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. But that is not the worst part of the tragedy. The body was not where everyone initially thought she was found. The detectives came back on December 22nd and set the record straight. Turns out, Barbie was discovered near a wooded area next to a quiet access road in Summit County. This place was not busy or crowded on a Sunday morning in December. As for Blossom Music Center, it is highly doubted it was even open in December, except maybe for some special holiday. Gigs. Where was Barbie found? Definitely not the town's usual teen hangout spot. Details surrounding Barbie's discovery are a bit here and there. There have been newspaper reports suggesting that an employee of KST Oil and Gas stumbled upon her body while driving along the road. Reports indicated she was found approximately 10 feet north of O'Neill Road. This is exactly within an area where the road shifted from running north-south to a sharp east-west curve before resuming its north-south route. This particular section of O'Neill Road lay between two sparsely used roads. It ran parallel to another road bordering the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area. It does not sound like a place for an oil and gas worker to be going along. But maybe he visited the isolated road as part of duty or nearby work obligations. According to Barbie's sister Donna, the person who found her said Barbie lay naked and discarded like used trash on the roadside. She might have been barely breathing even, still alive despite her horrible ordeal and clinging to life. Tragically, her struggle for survival was short-lived. This left whoever found her haunted by meeting someone on the brink of losing their life on such an isolated road. The Summit County coroner, William A. Cox, wasted no time in conducting Barbie's autopsy promptly after her discovery. A preliminary report surfaced the Monday, containing Cox's intriguing statement. His controversial statement gained attention from various media outlets, including the Beacon Journal. Cox's conclusion was surprising. Barbie had not sustained her injuries where she was found. She likely met the person who took her life elsewhere and was on the brink of her demise. Then her body was transported to the location where it was laid merely hours before its discovery. Cox gave some explanations for his findings. Given that Barbie was still breathing when found, she would not have survived the long exposure to the cold following a brutal assault. She should have lost her life within an hour or so after the assault. Alternatively, someone, perhaps the oil and gas worker or another eyewitness, could have traveled to O'Neill Road mere hours before she was discovered. This means her body was not placed at that particular spot. Coroner Cox remained steadfast in his timeline assessment. He insisted that the O'Neill Road site was not the scene of the crime. However, the basis for this claim, whether derived from blood evidence, signs of a struggle, or other indicators of foul play, remains undisclosed. The method by which Barbie was transported to the dump site, whether carried, dragged, or thrown out from a car, remains a mystery. Additionally, Cox noted Barbie was quite possibly drunk when she lost her life. This report proved Michelle's account of events to be true. While Coroner Cox did not exactly specify the time of demise, it has been established that Barbie was still alive when discovered at 10:20 a.m. By deducing from Michelle's provided timeline, Barbie was last seen at 3:30 a.m. This means that the assault occurred sometime between those hours. The attack was so completely brutal that it left deep, dark bruise marks on Barbie's neck. Her neck had to be covered with a scarf during the funeral due to the severity of the bruises. She was found with contact lenses in her eyes and a ring given to her at school. It was inscribed with her school's name and her first name. Her clothes, jewelry, comb, and money were missing. This was particularly curious because the assailant took the time to take off her other jewelry, but he did not take off the ring. Why not? This hinted that perhaps he left the ring so she would be easily identified. Maybe slaying her was not the plan. Or maybe Barbie had taken off her clothes and jewelry because she knew her assailant and was intimate with him. The detectives could only guess. After the autopsy, Coroner Cox made some statements to the media that were interesting. Barbie passed away due to strangulation. There was no way of telling whether it was by hand or with some object because of the dark marks. But the most important element was, she had been assaulted. The coroner also claimed she was assaulted by more than one person. This tragedy was shared with the media on December 22nd. Given the fact that this was 1987, forensic DNA analysis was not that developed. This was hard to understand. How could the coroner make such a claim? The coroner lifted different samples of male DNA from different parts of Barbie's body. Blood testing revealed different blood groups. There was no reason for Barbie to hang out in the area where she was found. Barbie and her friends frequented Blossom Music Center. Her investigation was limited to where the body was found, not where she was last seen alive or the party she had attended with her friends. If the person who took her life was anywhere near Garfield Heights, then it is highly possible they wanted to dump her body as soon as they were done. So Summit County was a viable option. An interesting find on her body was 2 lines written in the palm of her left hand. The first line contained a series of numbers, and the second line consisted of words. This was quite possibly an address. This is where the story gets truly shocking. Without Barbie's family's consent or informing them, her left hand was amputated and sent to a lab in Washington to be studied by the FBI. It was, of course, because they had superior technology, but it was unethical that her family did not know about this happening. DNA found under the teenager's fingernails suggested she had fought back against her attacker. "She was a tough broad," one of her friends mentioned in an interview, describing her fighting spirit. Barbie was not one to give up so easily. Unfortunately, that is the last anyone heard of the writing. Perhaps it was the number of a taxi or the address of the party. Maybe Barbie was meeting someone. Whatever the case, the information was lost and handled poorly. Time passed by. 10 years passed, and in 1997, the lead Cuyahoga Falls detective on the case, Larry Wagner, claimed it was a hard-to-solve case. The case was committed 30 miles off of Garfield Heights, and it was hard to gain any witnesses. While Barbie was a popular teen, nobody knew anything since Michelle dropped her off. The newspapers added further confusion to her story. Cleveland was a relatively safe area. They statistically had a high solve rate of such cases. But there were rumors at the time that Barbara's case was part of a serial perpetrator's spree. By the end of 1987, there were 4 unsolved cases of 4 women in the area. They all occurred in the last 4 months of that year. The women all had something in common. They were all middle-class white women in safe neighborhoods. The bodies appeared to have been dumped in a diamond pattern. There were 3 main theories, each stirring up panic and fear. The first theory suggested that someone close to the victim may have attacked and slain her. The second theory proposed that perhaps it was someone she thought she knew or someone on the outskirts of her social circles. Lastly, the most chilling theory suggested that she may have been a victim of an unknown serial perpetrator. Just a few years back, there was an incident involving a local man named George. While drunk at a bar, he confessed to a disturbing story. While talking to Kelly, a friend of Barbie's, he revealed something that should have been investigated years ago. George claimed that on the night of Barbie's demise, Jerry, Barbara's boyfriend, and his 2 brothers approached him for assistance. They asked for his help in cleaning their car with bleach and washing their clothes. When George questioned the reason behind this urgent cleaning spree, one of them revealed, "We'd just slain Barbie Blatnik." Shocked by this revelation, Kelly later relayed the story to Barbie's best friend Gina, who then took it upon herself to share it with a detective. However, Gina felt that the detective did not show much interest in this information. If George's account holds any truth, and he is not merely a drunken storyteller, he could be telling the truth and perhaps detectives should have looked into it. But one reason not to pursue this lead was that Jerry had been thoroughly investigated. As time went on, one of the brothers that were mentioned in George's statement passed away. And just like that, time buried the files of Barbara Blatnik. 3 decades passed, and each year her family held a small memorial in her honor. But with time, everyone moved on. Donna became Donna Zaneth, and she went on to have her own children and grandchildren. Barbie's mother passed away, unable to make sense of who ended her daughter's life so mercilessly. As technology advanced, Donna started Facebook pages in her name, looking for answers tirelessly, but it all faded away like a bad memory. There was no hope of finding any answers. Donna suffered from severe PTSD. She forgot her childhood memories and could not remember much about high school. She got a tattoo on her arm that read "Tu me manques." It is French for "I miss you," but translates to "You are missing from me." She frequented the West Side, reliving the memories of her sister. With time, in August of 2019, the case came to be highlighted by the Porch Light Project. The Porch Light Project was a nonprofit organization that worked on solving cold cases in northern Ohio. The organization partnered with the Cuyahoga Falls Police Department. It was founded by famous Akron author and investigative reporter James Renner. The Porch Light Project managed to rake up $6,000 to carry out a DNA analysis. All this time, Barbie's file was buried away. But with advances in genetic genealogy, there was a chance that maybe her assailant would be finally captured. The DNA recovered under Barbie's nails was sent for analysis. Finally, in May 2020, 32 years after Barbie's untimely demise, CFPD had some shocking new information. Barbara Blatnik's assailant was identified. Police arrested 67-year-old James E. Zastonik. He was charged with first-degree slaying. Zastonik is a resident of Cleveland, Ohio. He did not have a criminal record, but his family was bad news. Allegedly, Zastonik's brothers had also served time in prison for assault crimes. Surprisingly, on the 30th anniversary of Barbie's tragedy, one of Zastonik's siblings went missing and went on to become a cold case. Ben Zastonik went missing from his home without a trace. Karma, or a coincidence? Was there a connection? Once he learned that DNA connected him to this case, he admitted on a phone call that he might have been intimate with Barbie. According to him, he was driving down Warner Road when he saw the teen. He asked her if she needed a ride, and she said yes. She wanted to make a call, so he took her to his house. He lived nearby. Barbie argued with someone on the phone and was upset when she hung up. She started crying, and then he started to comfort her. Then he said one thing led to another, and they ended up in bed. The last he saw Barbie was when he dropped her off at the corner of Grand Division Warner Road. This was his final story as he denied involvement in her untimely demise. Zastonik's trial date was set for the 22nd of October 2021. The bond was set to be $35,000, which was paid immediately. Donna was not happy about the man behind her sister's fate roaming around free. She was quite vocal about it. But unfortunately, Zastonik was already very ill. Suffering from cancer, he went on to live with a relative in Mogador while receiving hospice services. Donna's Facebook friend told her in a private message that Zastonik was truly sick. The man maintained his innocence, and the first time Donna saw him was via video conference. Zastonik was in his brother's house drinking coffee. This angered Donna because her sister was gone, and the man allegedly responsible for it was roaming free. COVID-19 cases spiked during this time, and it was rumored that either the trial would shift or everyone in court would have to wear masks. Zastonik was already too sick to be in court. Barbie's family believed they would finally get answers on their questions. Why was Barbie left at the side of the road broken, beaten, and naked? What happened to her clothes, shoes, and other belongings? COVID-19 had already caused a lot of delays as it is, and the case was late in going to trial. With 2 months left to go to trial, in August of 2021, Barbie's family once more lost all hope of having any answers. James Zastonik passed away, taking the event of December 19th, 1987 to the grave with him. Donna had to find closure all over again. She thanked the Porchlight Project for at least putting a name to the tragedy of Barbie Blatnik. Her loved ones sought comfort in the fact that this person who violated the teen and took her life so barbarically would no longer hurt anyone. While Barbara Blatnik's case was solved, it still intrigued everyone. What did Zastonik do to her? Was he the one responsible for everything that happened to her, or was he just an accomplice? Since he maintained his innocence, it could be possible that he was not guilty of the crime. Let us know your opinion on this case. What is your theory? Do you agree with the DNA results? Or do you think Barbara's case was part of something bigger, perhaps a serial perpetrator or a scorned lover?